I just want to introduce people to the two speakers we've got for this episode on what we do with this daily commute. We've got Steve Burgess joining us from Tasmania. And of course, drinking a little bit of alcohol during the Adelaide shows half of the course. What's your choice down there in the Apple Isle?
Look, locally made whiskey, gin, beer. Pinot's delicious, and some of the white wines have really come along lovely. So, look, once you come to the South Island, you can choose what you like. You'll be delighted.
What I like is underneath all that is a yearning that it was South Australian sourced beverage. But anyway, that's fine. And Stephen Yarwood, very patriotic South Australian. What have you been tippling on as we've been recording our chat tonight?
Well, I'm very privileged. I've got a wine cellar. And of course I'm not going anywhere tonight, so I've just opened a St. Hugo Shiraz that's 8 years old, but I've got a 14-year-old signature Yalumba Cabernet Sauvignon and Shiraz. And Cabernet Sauvignon Shiraz, as you know, is a very South Australian famous thing. This one's only 14 years old, so I think this will be an absolute cracker for a quiet Friday night.
Please don't get the wrong opinion. We were all very sober during this conversation. There is a lot to excite you about in regrouping after the daily commute. And one thing I forgot to ask the gents in the chat that I'd meant to was, is there a book you'd recommend? Is it, or an author or a journal or some place to dig to help us think about how we're going to steer and not be steered in relation to our commute post-COVID-19?
Look, Janet Sadik-Khan's book called The Street Fighter is a great book, and it's how, she really took on that habit that New Yorkers were just driving around Manhattan, just clogging it up for the sake of it and just putting their hand on their horn and leaving it there. That was a good afternoon out. So look, you don't have to do that. You can walk, you can ride, and look, if you do, I'll give you more space. And she took car space out and gave it to the humans. And, It's a real lesson on how to be brave, basically.
Right. So a hand on the horn, a good day out, sometimes a good day in. Stephen Yarwood.
Nice work.
What I would suggest, something different then, is that you can't go wrong subscribing to something like Wired magazine. Wired also does a regular transport blog, in itself a longer read transport blog, and they're particularly interested in it. And they're also very good at connecting not just the transport issues, but with other technology issues or society issues.
So I've been doing musical theatre and drama, etc., since I was about 9-ish. So I started, my first musical was The Sound of Music, and I played Gretel. Which was a lot of fun, and it was basically like that moment was when I fell in love with it, and I knew that was what I wanted to do.
Sitting on my own, I cry because it all seems so in vain. There must be someone and not just me. I look around at all the shadows I see. I hear a whisper in the night, and I know I'm not alone.
So I wrote it at the same age that Gemma is now, so 17. So 17 when I wrote Whispers in the Night. I wrote it at a time when my world was confronted by the Cold War and people were thinking there was going to be nuclear obliteration. And I just had this vision. I remember writing it on a guitar, and I just thought, at the time of writing it, I thought, this is the song of now, and then we kind of moved on from that, and then I just kind of put the song away, and every now and then I'd think about the song. And then earlier in the year, I had a go at singing it myself, and I just thought, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work with this old thing here, singing a song written by a teenager. Because it's not written by this, it's written by the teenager of this. And then we had Gemma to come and work on a project about microplastics and pollution and stuff. And in the conversations with other people in the project, they kept talking about the need for hope. And then it's just like, well, actually, here's this song I've prepared earlier.
And just before I say goodnight to Don Dunstan, which we do each week, thanks for listening. And Gemma, you did play Gretel in Sound of Music. And I believe at some point she helped say goodnight to people, doesn't she? Can you remember how that began?
Oh gosh. That's
So long.
sun has gone to bed and so must I.
Adelaide, 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 you Adelaide, 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 who.